Episode 523 of the TV Dudes, recorded January 23rd, 2025. American Primeval. This week, we head out to the bleeding edge of the Wild West for Netflix's new series, American Primeval.
That's right. You know we're here for anything Betty Gilpin does.
Damn right there.
But will it be enough?
We shall see.
But first, I'm Nick.
And I'm Les.
And we're the TV Dudes.
And you know a bunch of Mormon savagery isn't all we watched.
I mean, it's what we wanted to, but we can't always get what we want. To the TV Diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Nick, what'd you watch this week?
God damn it, we watched The Rookie.
Yeah, we did.
It was a interesting week. The Rookie on one level had a fun of the two actual rookies in the story that was fun, but like the overall like listlessness of what the fuck are we even doing here?
What are we doing here?
Like Nolan having a security, like we're fucking around a whole episode with a security system rather than dealing with the overall threat.
And it's like a classic sitcom thing of like he gets a security system that's too crazy. Everybody tells him it's too much and that it's useless. And then at the end he like learns his lesson, and it's just cute, but it's such a weird B plot.
Yeah,
C plot, whatever it is.
And then like, man, a lot of like they're bad at giving out information. We learned a bunch of stuff that I'm like, are they just retelling us this, or is this the first time? Oh, Chen didn't make detective, so like she helped out as a TO.
Right. Because we were, I mean, and
she didn't get drummed out of undercover.
In fairness, I had to be fair. The Rookie is not great. It's a very vacuum and full close show at this point for me, and like I have definitely tuned out at times of watching. Like they may well have said that Chen failed out of detective, and I would just fucking missed it.
Yeah,
because like they'll show stuff on the previously on kind of stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, those characters are still on the show. He still works at the civil rights thing. Wow,
holy shit. Yeah. Oh man, they didn't bring that up at all.
They didn't come back up at all.
Yeah. I also watched Blink twice.
Oh yeah,
which was fun. The Channing Tatum like twisty, like getting stuck on a island with rich people movie.
On the one hand, it's very simple, and it has just like a slam bang. It is perfection style thing in the middle.
It is definitely like perfection or Get Out of like, okay, so this movie's built around getting us to a point in the second act where everyone is like having to deal with something horrific while trying to act completely normal, and like that's the gag of it, and the gag's so good. Yeah. That the movie around it, like, yeah, okay, we...
On second watch, I feel like Zoe Kravitz did a great job of holding it out like the right amount. Like, that doesn't drag on with the fake party with the party at the start too long.
Right.
Like, about the time that you're like, no, this has to collapse, that's when the wheels start coming off of the movie.
I like the idea that the movie isn't about someone being gaslit into a thing they don't... know isn't true. It's about them knowing a thing knowing a thing's fucked up and like trying to keep it cool and pretend like they don't.
Right, until they can make their plan. Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed it in the theater. There weren't a ton of people in the theater with us, most movies. But I remember walking in that had a like home printed 8.5 by 11 piece of paper on the door of the theater, and then again on the door like leading into the actual screen that said we're so glad you're here to see Blink twice. It does, how they phrased it, but basically like, hey, it gets a little rapey. And that, like, just be ready. And it does. It has a crazy, I mean, what the villains are doing is horrible and has to be. And it's one of the rare times where I was like, I think because a woman was directing the movie, and it's women in the lead that are getting their vengeance, that it hit me as like the movie showed the bare minimum it needed to get the point across in like one flashback, like one, oh shit, I know what's happening there, without lingering on it.
Right. We need to be as tense as the characters are, so we need to see like something real bad.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about more in American Primeval, but like
oh my lord.
Sexual,
We'll talk about the differences between the two, because
right.
Yeah.
This one felt like, okay, it was necessary to get this across. This wasn't going to get the same thing doing it any other way.
Like, I'm against dogs dying in movies. I'm not equating the two acts or anything.
But also, John Wick doesn't work unless that dog fucking bites it. The dog can't just get kind of hurt.
Right.
Then he's a psychopath.
Right. Like, you didn't ghost her or break up with her. Like, it's horrible.
Speaking of a movie that is all about one gimmick, I watched The Mad with Billy Zane. A zombie movie about like mad cow disease.
Okay.
With these burgers that like at a diner that are like fresh organically made, but but there's something wrong. The meat's been tainted, so they're all a bunch of mad cow like diseased people. Like they're just insane. That movie is all a lead up to Billy Zane and his daughter at the very tail end of it, right before the third act, having a very casual conversation about life and like why like, you know, why do like, Dad, why you dress like such a hipster? He used to be in a band, you know, and like his new girlfriend likes the look, and like it's like you look kind of like a tool. Like, yeah, but you know, it's what she likes and I don't care. So, and sometimes in life, honey, and during this whole thing, this fatherly daughter bonding moment, they are killing and being attacked by zombies.
That's great.
And just interrupting interrupting the heartfelt moment, and like they have to stomp out, and like during the like, so what you have to understand, honey, is that sometimes hold on, life, god damn it. And so that one is a much worse movie with an equally good payoff. That scene's great. That scene's awesome, and like is almost worth the price of admission of like, wow, yeah, it sucks we had to, you can't just show this scene. It doesn't you can't just get here, but it's definitely fun. I watched some Frieren as like a...
That's the anime with the elf
that's who... Like, yeah, I just rewatched some of that. I actually had the whole season watched again. But I put on some like comfort, like falling asleep stuff, and I had to edit. Like, man, I realized like, oh, I had a pretty big diary this week, but I also don't quite remember everything I watched because I edited a lot. Like, so like, oh, I half watched a bunch of shit this week, including The Booth at the End.
Yes.
Which is the second season. I watched that first season. And then the second season, wow, I did not realize this, but Roku is fucking up. Like, the first and second episode are flipped.
And for years, I mean, I'm amazed it's on Roku. Like, when I first watched that movie, Roku wasn't a thing.
Not out of order in this thing.
Or series.
Not out of order in the thing. I'm saying the thing, the thumbnail labeled episode 1, when you click on it, it plays episode 2. Yeah. And vice versa for episode 2 to 1. It is fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's annoying.
But I do.
What was the service the other day that was playing them backwards? Was that Nickelodeon's actual app?
Yes, that was when I was watching the Cartoon Island.
Yes, yeah, Summer Camp Island.
Summer Camp
Island.
Island.
It kept like, hey, don't you want to run the episodes backwards? Yeah.
God damn it! What was it? We watched Harley Quinn.
Yeah, we watched the most recent episode of Harley Quinn. Which seriously, my brain I literally woke up this morning like, does anything new come on Thursdays? Nope, not right now. You were like, Harley Quinn. And it's a King Shark episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he comes in and fucks off and then does not come back.
Does not reappear at all. Has his date, we don't see it.
He has one scene and like... Yeah.
Though it did at least pay off the shark kid babysitting scene that I did want, which is... like Harley and just gets like a dozen shark babies dropped on her god sharks, and takes them all to a birthday party. And I'm like, well, you can't take those kids to a birthday party. They're going to eat all the other kids.
Obviously.
And absolutely they do. It's great. Nothing else in the episode worked for me quite like that.
I actually really liked Poison Ivy's backstory.
We saw Poison Ivy's, we saw how she became Poison Ivy. That actually made, we were talking about it while we were watching it. That makes such a good choice about agency there.
Yeah.
So he
fucks her over, but she's the one that injects herself with to
save herself, to survive being fucked over, so that she can get hers. Yeah.
I think that's
great.
an important distinction.
It is.
That was a smart move, which is, again, like always, Harley Quinn episode by episode is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just overall doesn't seem to have a structure that it wants to go anywhere.
I do like the running gag that everybody's moved to Metropolis because of this good schools.
Yes, the Dutch program.
Yeah, that Dutch program. Wait, say hello in Dutch. Hello.
Hello. Oh, wow.
No, but in a month you'll be able to say that in Dutch.
Well,
Great.
also, man, I really like that Bane has his dominatrix girlfriend.
Yes.
And they're having a whole found family thing. That's really funny.
Yeah.
And kind of heartwarming.
It took me a second of like, what? How does he have a kid? Oh my God, that's Goldilocks.
Right. I just actively blocking out Kite Man.
Yeah.
But she doesn't speak.
No.
Like, do you remember a dialogue? Like, I don't think she has a line of dialogue.
Spoke.
And the princess
I don't know.
The princess is played by
No, she spoke. The wife, yeah, she spoke.
Oh. I mean, I dare you to fucking tell me her
I couldn't
dialogue.
tell you what she said, but
Yeah.
but she was the middle focus of the screen for a while. She had to be doing something.
No, she's the middle focus of the screen. No, you see her, but I just don't think she had a line of dialogue or something. But Ron Funches has like a couple lines. Like Aisha Tyler, that's playing Lena Luthor, also plays the princess, and I was like, okay, are you suffering budget cuts or something? Because there is a distinct lack of like voices on this episode.
Well, this is the last of the lame duck universes, right?
No, I think that they're still going forward with. Well, I mean,
like I'm not saying they've sunsetted it or wrapped it up or anything, but in terms
Harley
of like,
Quinn was always its
at
own
one
thing.
point DC had Harley Quinn's universe going. They also had at one point multiple CW worlds happening, and then they had the actual DCU movies, which didn't all connect.
I don't even like Harley Quinn was just its own, like, not even a separate universe, just a separate thing.
Right.
Like, I suppose now that with Kite Man it is a universe, but it feels like there's a. I want to see I won't see it until probably later, if at all. But there's a production tumultuous, like, between seasons. What has happened the last two seasons?
No, like 7 years from now, the Variety article on this will be fascinating, I think. Because like something's fucked up.
Seasons are 1 through 3 solid, no notes, pretty much flawless. 4 and 5 are pretty good, but there is something going on behind the scenes in the writer's room and the production meetings that is kind of, there's two different voices. And they want to do two completely different things. Because, like, the Shark Massacre is really funny, and no cops show up. And no Brainiac things show up. So it feels right, because I still think we're in Gotham.
You're right. No Metropolis things happen.
This is an episode that could have taken place in Gotham.
Yeah.
They don't all have to reflect the new spot. But yet, the only thing that happens is they have a new place that's not covered in shit.
Right.
Like, it's not piss covered or whatever, like Gotham, like they say. And I'm nervous now that a lot of this season is going to be Gotham stories that kind of have, like, someone had a Metropolis idea
to move into Metropolis, but they don't want to do Metropolis stories
after we broke a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really. I get, because I thought ditching Superman and that was actually pretty good in that first episode. Like, oh, this sets up an interesting new status quo of them being here and her convincing Superman to take some time for himself, which leaves Metropolis vulnerable. The setup of Brainiac wanting perfection and just them being there, like, oh, that's good. That's actually a pretty good setup. Good status quo for this season that doesn't show up in this episode at all. No. This
feels like one of those when networks want shows that are fully disconnected so that they can just shuffle episodes.
Yeah,
this feels completely isolated.
It feels overarchingly unfocused.
Yeah.
Plot, but episode wise, laser focused. This episode does what it needs to do. Like, it sets up, it knocks down, it tells the Harley side of the story with the one shark she likes, Sean, the noisy one, and Harley dealing with her ex Floronic man, Woodrue, I think is his name or whatever.
Yeah, Jason Woodrue.
Yeah, fucking man, they're pulling from a deep bench now. Yeah. But I'm interested to see if Lena Luthor is playing both sides against the middle here, or what her deal is. Because like at first I thought that she was being a passive aggressive to Harley, and then later I'm like, oh, maybe she's being genuine and just likes them both. Like it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, no, I can't figure out quite the game yet. But like you said, frequently she is the on the up and up Luthor sibling.
I think overall, same as always, Harley Quinn has reminded me, shit, this is pretty good episode by episode. I'm gonna keep watching it episode by episode, but I have to adjust my expectations overall.
Yeah, I don't know that it's good enough for me to watch each week. Like honestly, it bums me out. It's over the line in terms of like I'm more disappointed each week than happy with the episode.
Well, the I'm still more happy with the episode than I am disappointed for these early episodes, because I know, oh, well, it doesn't quite matter yet.
I just haven't grudge watched anything in a while.
Like, it doesn't
like Flash isn't on anymore.
I do know that as these episodes go on, it will be less effective. Like in like the last season, because the last season's going to start to, like it's going to start pretend they're doing stuff they didn't do.
No, it's infuriating, and I think I'm done.
Like I'm willing to let it get there.
No, because like they're gonna pretend like we've done a bunch of Metropolis stuff this season, like
when we didn't.
Like we're right back in this boat. Like whatever thing they pick to do, they're
it's
not really gonna do it.
Something that the writers don't want to do.
Yeah, and I don't know why. But this is the second or third season they've done it. That it's just I'm frustrated.
Yeah,
I don't like watching a show just so that I can be disappointed in it. I've already got The Rookie.
This is better than The Rookie. It's like
well, we had like a Daddy Cop song amount of Ron Funches.
Well, no more. Like they just like they don't want to write Clayface anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Or Alan Tudyk's too busy. There's no Joker, no Clayface.
Well, yeah. Because I was thinking like, no, did he move over? Nope, he's Phosphorus in the other. He's not Clayface in the other. Yeah.
Like so, there are they just? But then they recast everybody else anyway. I get not doing Dr. Psycho and having him be full villain, but I still think he's funny.
Yeah.
I have more, I guess, do I have more confidence in the main crew of them? Like, dude, your crew was funny. Clayface and Psycho are funny, and King Shark is funny. They should be around more.
I think so too. I thought it was a good ensemble show. Like, if anything, you're running out of stories on these two.
Poison Ivy and Harley are great, don't get me wrong. They're fun and funny, but it feels like we're always ditching stuff, never adding. I don't know. Keep in touch as the TV dudes fall in and out of love again. It does make me think like, well, you know what? Lower Decks, I think it had more in it.
But maybe it didn't. Who knows? No, it did.
Harley, well, Harley Quinn, I'm like, by season 3, obviously you can do more. And then season 4 was like, oh, maybe not.
No, I think it's just this room. I think I don't know who all was writing Harley Quinn. I really don't. But
right.
I think it's still Justin Halpern running it. But it just feels at odds with itself every season.
What did you watch, my man?
Watched some Psych episodes. Watched some Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Headed out to the theater and saw A Complete Unknown, the James Mangold of Wolverine fame biopic with Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan. And honestly, Mangold also did Walk the Line, which was where I think most of America noticed Joaquin Phoenix, really. But all of us, I remember, were stunned that he looks nothing like Johnny Cash, really.
Yeah.
Like, no one would ever pick them out in a lineup as looking like each other, I don't think. They have dark hair. But it really worked in Walk the Line. Like, we all bought him as Cash. And I don't think Timothy Chalamet looks anything like Bob Dylan. But he really did a remarkable job of getting it across without it being the Dylan impression that we all can do. Like, it really works as a young kid playing songs he wrote that are just honestly better than they should be at 19. And trying to sound mysterious and weird, and it's the 60s. I
kind of like the idea that you said, like, it's a voice he's putting on.
I swear it is a thing, because like his whole thing is an affectation.
To seem older. And
he gets called out on, like, hey man, I've known you for a while and I don't know a single fucking true thing about you. I saw your ID and it's a different name. And like the folk guys that are running Newport are like, one of them goes off at one point about the other one liking Peter, Paul, and Mary, and he like, that's not even his name. And he says like, Albert so-and-so, it changed his name to Paul, and this festival's about authenticity. And you're watching it, and cool, so you're going to have Bob Zimmerman on stage later. Like, nothing about Dylan, and y'all are hanging all of your like authenticityness on it, and like Dylan is just bothered by it the whole time of like, okay, fuck. But the smartest thing in the movie, I really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of Dylan songs. I don't really like Bob Dylan. I didn't grow up listening to a lot of Dylan, so there were 2 or 3 songs that like Fanny and everyone in the theater clearly knew that I was like, okay, cool, that's obviously a Dylan song. But it did a good job of positioning the central love story of the movie is not between him and Joan Baez or him and Sylvie or whoever.
I
the
really
most interesting thing to me in the movie is that he shows up like with his high school sweetheart, folk music. And the folk music scene, like, she needs him. And they are rapturously in love for his first couple of albums. And then he starts to grow up a little and want to play. It's fucking 65. Like, somebody points out of like, hey man, there's a nuclear bomb and Kennedy's dead. I don't want to sing about the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, it feels like we moved on.
And like, you can still do the same spirit of protest and folk music, but like, these guys don't want to hear that. They don't want the spirit of it. They want the traditional sound of it. And they really position it as like him breaking up with folk music.
I like,
which is cool. And I don't think I'd ever thought about Dylan's, I don't know, narrative in music history quite that way. And it was cool.
I think that's I honestly, that sounds like the most interesting thing to me, like a hook of what makes the biopic different from all other biopics of like, okay, his relationships are gonna be hard. Like, yep, every biopic, like, oh, like, oh, is he
these women just keep getting frustrated.
Oh, he's gonna struggle with self-identity and like, oh, well, I just want to be me or whatever. Like, like that doesn't happen to every fucking
right.
Like,
and instead it's more like these women are mad at him because he isn't in love with them.
Like, I want to see one biopic where it's like, man, all these people want me to do what I want and be genuine. I just want to be fake and told what to do.
It makes you want to watch the Weird Al biopic again.
Yeah, like just like completely. But I like that structure of the love stories between folk music, and that's the breakup, and that's the act structure of it. Like, oh, cool. Like, it's either that or a CG monkey,
and it basically ends with like,
you gotta do something.
It ends basically with like Dylan riding his motorcycle past his ex's house as he goes off to be Bob Dylan, and like Pete Seeger's folding up chairs at the Newport Folk Festival the next morning after Dylan's like basically given a middle finger to a genre of music and walked off. Johnny Cash shows up a couple of times. He's in the trailer, but he's just fucking shit-faced every scene he shows up in, and it's hilarious. I think that's probably exactly what Cash was like. But I was surprised how much I dug it, considering that, I mean, I went to see it. I know Mangold can make a hell of a movie. Like, obviously that guy can put together a big budget movie. But this is not the biopic of an artist that I am like, Bob Dylan. We also went to the theater to see Wolfman, which we'll discuss over on Patreon.
Baby.
I also watched... because Fanny had seen now Wolfman, but not any other Lee Winnell movies. Wolfman. Lone Marvy Wolfman. We watched Invisible Man. Which is better than Wolfman. Come hear our thoughts on Wolfman over on Patreon. Yeah. But, God, Wolfman damaged Invisible Man for me.
Wolfman hurt you in a way that,
it made sloppiness in Invisible Man stand out to me in a way that I think Elizabeth Moss's strong performance had covered up before.
Like, look, it's a relationship with you and Lee Winnell, and you have suddenly realized, like, looked back at his behavior and like, no, I think I deserve better than this.
I think he's a... Well, he was good to me in the beginning. Was he, girl?
It ends with us.
Yeah, it ends with us. And then you showed me a series that you have on your Amazon, so we had to hook up the PlayStation. Alan Ritchson in Blood Drive, a Sci-Fi Channel show from 2017 that is ostensibly set in 1999 in an apocalypse in 1999. But is definitely reference-wise and language-wise written in 2017 because they make a lot of
they
jokes.
Use terms like on the spectrum.
Right.
Or...
Like, I don't care. Whatever. Fuck it. It's hilarious. We have fracked so much in this show that the scar has opened down through the middle of the United States, and it's clearly a portal to, like, it's clearly just a crack to hell.
Or another dimension. They never, man,
they never get into it.
I'm kind of mad that they don't confirm it.
Right. Because they never really confirm that it's hell, but it's definitely another dimension. There's a lot of morally questionable energy sources and mysterious green goo, I believe is how they describe it.
Oh, yeah. Mysterious green goo. And, like, they're getting a bunch of science. Like, Heart Industries is getting a bunch of cool new technology that they're testing out. And one of their tests is a thing called blood drive, where they can test out their blood engines.
Yes.
Because that's how things run. I think I did for those longtime TV Dudes listeners, I did a Stranger Than fan fiction on this. Whereas it was an old game we used to play where I would describe to you a show and you and Randy had to guess whether it was real or not. And surprise, surprise, Randy had watched that.
Yes.
Shocker. I was like, what?
So Blood Drive got better every fucking episode. Basically until the finale. Like, the finale was a little whatever.
Well, by the finale, you realize that they have to sell some big emotional beats between the...
And this ain't the show for that.
Like, the main characters, and you're like, oh, we haven't really...
No, this ain't the show for that.
Really
all the emotional beats that happened, that worked, were between Aki and Christopher.
Aki, the fucking
rogue
sex bot.
The A-plot is a Twisted Metal style road race where all the car engines basically run on gore. You just throw a body into the engine.
Yeah, you throw a guy in the engine
and Heart Industries that makes these engines they make everything. They also have fracking tubes. Blood fracking is what they call it, where it's just the population in New York on the surface is like 6,000 people with
population
like 13 million in the fracking tubes.
Yeah.
Because obviously instead of electricity, they're about to run the planet on human blood, like some kind of hell matrix. And so ostensibly that's the show, is a road race of these blood-driven cars. We see almost no road race.
It's shocking to me how much that doesn't bother me, and yet you notice it every episode.
You notice it every episode, but you don't care. You don't care. You see a little bit of car driving, but I wouldn't exactly call it racing.
I like that the show itself
doesn't give a fuck.
Well, the show itself, like, they get notes, like the conductor gets notes.
Because the Blood Drive is also a show inside the show. It's like a reality TV race with cameras in the cars. Yeah. And they give notes on it, like and one of their notes is the lack of racing in the race.
Like, why is it's a race show, there's no racing, man. Like
But then there's a B plot of so Alan Richardson's a cop that gets roped into the race and partnered with a girl, and they're driving. It's exactly what you think. It's fine. His partner, who's looking for him at first, gets captured immediately. And a woman that they thought was a fellow police officer turns out is a Heart Industries robot. And
with an interesting choice of attire.
Yes, and body movement. That actress is the unsung hero of this show.
Oh my God,
she fucking owns it. She's amazing.
Doing the Lord's work.
Just doing the Lord's work. But in the course of, torturing him, prepping him, turning him into a robot, something, whatever the fuck Heart Industries is doing to him, she has sex with him.
She falls in love with him.
And
it starts to become more human.
The orgasm unlocks her humanity.
And we thought, what a fun headcanon for us.
Right. We just thought we were headcanoning that, because that's what it seemed like happened in the... Nope.
Until.
They confirmed it in the show.
So that's what made...
That was hilarious. This show is hilarious.
So what's so surprising about Blood Drive is that it's fun, it's gory, and it's campy, right?
Right.
But what's surprising about it is how often it will pay off a thing later.
It's really smart.
That you weren't even asking for, because it's not that type of show.
No.
You're like, oh, you don't have to do this. But a thing will suddenly make a lot more sense later.
Yeah.
The cars don't run on blood, they run on gore. Which makes sense later when they reveal it's a soul reclamator.
Right.
It's not really the blood or the gore. It's the idea. It
wants the soul.
It's the idea of the sacrifice. Like, all of it is the sacrifice. Like, that's how everything runs. And like, shit, well, that's why it doesn't have to be efficient.
There's so much fun, crazy shit.
Aki becomes his dream passenger for a minute, and the main character, even though he spent no time with her, and we were like, that doesn't really make sense. I guess just to give that actress something to do. Until later in that episode, they reveal Aki's backstory
Yeah.
of where she actually came from and was swallowed up by the frag at that location.
Yeah.
And is now like a spirit guide. And I was like,
and that's
fuck.
why.
The orgasm thing is revealed later of like, oh man, I thought you were 2 weeks behind on that project. Oh yeah, I cracked the personality stuff. Had to leave a little bit of the bio in there.
Isn't that dangerous, man? Can't the robot wake up?
Won't she be able to access your humanity? Nah, man. Don't worry about it. Not unless she learns how to have an orgasm.
Yeah.
And it's basic, but it's so much more than even necessary.
You didn't need to put it in there at all. Yeah, I adored this show. I will rewatch Blood Drive for sure
also,
at some
like,
point.
Every episode is just like an insane, like there's an Amazon thing, there's a Cronenberg.
It's Grindhouse.
Cronenberg town, Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Of course, they run into cannibals. Like, it has all the trappings or whatever.
There's a Shaw Brothers send-up episode. It's got a very spaced vibe in that regard.
The way
Spaced would do genres per episode.
The main villain, Julian Slink, is like a great... Like, he switches sides 8 times in the show. Like, he's just constantly...
He works for Hard Industries, but doesn't like them.
No. Constantly getting notes and is a consummate performer, seems immortal and super, like, has another thing going on.
Every once in a while, the world is both still functioning somewhat, but also coming apart at the seams. And the closer you get to the scar, the crazier shit is.
Yeah.
And at various episodes, it has an FP vibe. Like if they had to play, if they hit some, wild people in the hills that play Dance Dance Revolution, Beat Beat Revelation, it wouldn't surprise me.
Man, the only thing that was like, is kind of bothering me about it now is that Alan Richardson's character is so abused in the show and treated like he doesn't matter and that he should just shut up and be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they call him Barbie, and a lot of the jokes are at his expense for being dumb and naive and just shut up, you good-looking moron.
Yeah.
And
when you know that this is legitimately a dark time in Alan Richardson's life.
For not unrelated to those reasons of like
it for as fun a show as it is, it had to be.
I don't think that was good for his self.
It can't have been
for his mental health or his self-worth. I don't think that was great. Like, there's a little, I know it's a job and it's acting, but also like, man, you're thinking about that in the back of your mind already, man. And then like there's a scene where he basically almost gets hung, and I'm like, Jesus.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Forgot about that. Fuck.
This is David Carradine and even Little Tunes all over again.
Nothing should be that.
Unfortunate.
Nothing should be that.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I would recommend Blood Drive in a heartbeat.
Love it.
The fuck? These cars run on human blood.
Have you seen gas prices lately?
Midnight Grindhouse presents Blood Drive, a twisted new series, almost too depraved for cable TV, where a violent vixen and a Ken doll cop compete against psychos in a deadly race for the...
No one cares about story. We told you that.
Yes. Blood Drive.
Good show. Love the ending.
Well, that seems like a good time to tell everybody to head over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw down $1 an episode. You get some bonus content every week.
Watch some we didn't like as much as Blood Drive. Man, Blood Drive should be the Patreon.
Blood Drive should be the Patreon.
That should be special and having to have a behind the wall.
Right.
But this week we're talking about Wolfman instead.
Right. Let's get hairy. No, that would have been a better movie. Yeah, that's over at patreon.com/tvdudes. There's more than just Wolfman. There's also movies we really, really love. I keep pitching terribly pun-named marathons. I'm going to get Nick to bite at one point.
Well, we can always continue the Oliver Platter.
That's true. That's true. We could catch more Gerardia.
Oh, man. Oh, catch more Gerardia.
Oh, I'm sorry. We could,
like that was
we could watch more of The Butler Did It. That's what it is.
I think we decided on The Butler Did It because that other one doesn't sound good. Like, throwing it on the Grillo. Yeah, like we got plenty.
We got
plenty to go.
But first, what are we talking about this week?
Oh, we're talking about the new Peter Berg show with Taylor Kitsch, Shea Whigham, and our constant favorite, Betty Gilpin.
Yeah!
An American Primeval.
There's war brewing in this territory. Brigham Young trying to make his kingdom. President tries to stomp it out. These natives here don't murder you. You got the Wasatch Mountain Range. Grizzly wolves, riled up Mormons.
We are the chosen!
This doesn't seem to be a world that favors a woman on her own.
Civilization and civilized, two different words entirely.
American Western television miniseries created and written by Mark L. Smith and directed by Peter Berg. The series is set in 1857 during the Utah War. I didn't realize it was called that.
I did not know there was a Utah War.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was actually called that. I mean...
They wanted to secede, I think. Or
like
be their own...
War seems like a strong word. Like... bunch of assholes. Like
it seems like from the show, and we'll get into this in a minute, but it seems like from the show that there'd be no way to differentiate a war in that area from day-to-day life. Like I don't see the line between war and peacetime out here. It's like, oh, this bit of the ocean's wetter.
Well, also, what kind of war has such a desperation for one side to never meet the army of the other side?
Right.
Because they know they'll get destroyed.
Yeah.
It was released on January 9th, 2025 on Netflix.
Yeah. See, premise says the series examines the fight to gain control of the American West and the violent clash between the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that's Mormons, and cultures in the Utah Territory, centering on the events surrounding the Mountain Meadows Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Triple M, baby.
This show, I mean, Peter Berg makes a violent as fuck show. I mean, I realize he made Friday Night Lights, the movie and everything, but like...
Well, I mean, the constant gore in that.
But I think of Peter Berg as a...
Think of the concussions less.
Guy's guy. I want to say he made Very Bad Things.
Did he make Very Bad Things?
And I was associated with him. It's that kind of movie.
Sure.
So I knew this was going to be like hyper violent and fucking crazy and everything, but I didn't know about any of this history. You come away from watching this show wondering if there were any native attacks or if the Mormons just did everything. Like, at least with the Shoshone. So this show is about the Utah War and the Mountain Meadows Massacre. The Mountain Meadows Massacre is a real event. It didn't go down quite like in this show, but basically Mormon
bunch of Mormons killed a bunch of people.
Killed 120 people across several days of hitting this same wagon train, and wore sacks over their heads or masked themselves so that the real army would think it's Indians, the Shoshone, it's natives. And so they killed that many people because in the real story, I guess, it took too long. They were sure they'd been seen, and they had to kill the witnesses. Everybody except apparently kids under 6, which that's just height luck. How they were checking IDs.
There's no ID
right
like on that.
So the show condenses that down to like basically one fucking attack. That Dane DeHaan somehow survives half scalped.
Woo! Man, he got roughed up.
I mean, when I say that this show is violent and fucking insane, every episode has something that is just like, holy shit, violent. Like, where are all those arrows coming from? Why? God.
Great. In first episode, great oneer in the action sequence of the actual massacre is great. And
that massacre sets the show off.
And it sucks because there is almost like, I think there's like one other scene that comes to that action sequence and as good as it is. Not that the other action sequences are bad, they're just not as good as that opener of like shit.
Yeah, we get close to it later. They run into some French trappers, and Gilpin gets a moment.
Yeah, but it seems like the show is building up to a big army and natives and Mormons in a 3-front or maybe team-up war. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah, and so apparently this takes some liberties. I mean, the Dallinger, the guy that's actually in charge of the real U.S. military, is a composite made-up character. Who didn't really exist, but Jim Bridger at Fort Bridger, he really exists. I think there's another Buffalo Bill Buckingham. He's not Buffalo Bill, not Wild Bill Cody, but Wild Bill Buckingham, I think is his name. He's a real guy. Like there's a lot of real characters here, and unfortunately, one of the things that didn't happen is the Abish, the Mormon girl, escaping, and this whole. Is there a witness to this crime against these settlers that becomes the crux of the show? That didn't happen, so there's not this up... For most of the episodes, there's an up in the air, can they get her testimony to someone that matters?
Yeah.
In a way that will get this taken care of. Well, historically, it doesn't get taken care of.
Right.
So at some point, it's got like a Rogue One problem of like, a lot of y'all can't make it, and y'all can't really get done your objective because it would change too much history.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think even though they changed a bunch of stuff, I don't know all the history or anything. But,
there's a certain.
But I wonder if they got caught short by having to still stick the landing back in reality.
Yeah. Well, I have my issues with the ending, but first I'll talk about what I really dug about the show. What I really dug was the environment, like just the atmosphere of it does feel incredibly dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It feels wide open. It gets across the monotony of danger that I think a lot of Westerns only get across the monotony.
Right.
Which is why I find Westerns so boring.
Right.
Because everyone has to like, well, it was boring back then. Like, I get that, but that's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
In this one, it feels like, no, it doesn't feel like there's every day. It's not an action movie. There's not, but it feels, you feel like with the characters, they're constantly on the run from something,
right.
Even though they're walking.
You won't die spectacularly, but every day this world will just grind you under and kill you if you aren't careful.
Slow or fast, it's going to get you.
Yeah.
So it got across. So few Western shit does that. So I was very impressed with that. And the acting from Shea Wiggum, always great. Jim Bridger, he's having a fucking blast.
He's having a blast.
Fucking cuts a dude's fucking foot in half
with a shovel.
With a shovel. God damn. I'm partial to this blade.
It's so good.
No, those are my hogs. He just fucking raises them in my.
Well, I already paid so for. Well, that's your first mistake.
Well, that was your first mistake.
Wiggum's having a blast.
But and Betty Gilpin, of course, is really
Gilpin's fantastic.
Doing a lot here.
She's fantastic in everything, but she's really good in this.
Who surprised me is the character of Abish.
She owns. I mean, sometimes as an actor, you just luck into getting to be the badass in a show. Abish is 1,000% right every single moment from the start. She learns nothing. She's just right the whole fucking time.
We were talking about maybe a year ago about like characters that audiences are now turning into like what we like. What we've liked over the last couple of years is like, man, audiences nowadays love a character that's fucking right all the time and knows they're right.
Right.
If
we go into another movie where some other plot stuff happens, Abish might eventually be wrong. But in this movie's plot, she's the character that knows, or in this show's plot, she's the character that knows exactly what we're doing and is tragically right.
So is Sarah Lightfoot Leon.
She's fucking amazing, dude.
And she just plays a Mormon wife that isn't even supposed to be married to this dude. Her sister is supposed to be married to this dude.
She's not thrilled with it.
Gets picked on for being like Mormon, everybody picks on them for being Mormons.
But she also seems like the Mormon that's like.
But also,
so I think maybe there's barely a God.
But she doesn't like. But she doesn't like being picked on. Hey, fuck you, leave us alone, and like fires back every time they take a shot at them. But also in the Mormons, like, yeah, this is stupid. Like. This is all fucking dumb, and gets basically kidnapped by natives. They never really go into, like, I thought it was good and subtle, like the Red Feather, who's like one of the chieftains that is super against, like, man, fuck you all and all the white people. We fight until our last breath. And a lot of the other Shoshone and his mom, Paiutes.
His mom, Winterbird, is like, are you insane?
Like, no, man, we got to learn to deal. There's too many of them. Like, whatever life we had, it's over.
Is it Abish that looks at him and like, you don't understand us?
Like, you don't get it.
We'll never stop coming.
It. Like, and I love her idea of you don't get it is not, no, I didn't get you because you're like people, and I didn't realize that. You don't get us. We're monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we'll just keep killing you and you'll learn. No, we won't.
You call us white devil or whatever, but you still think that like we have some sense of.
At some point you'll work with us.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm telling you, don't.
Yeah. You have no idea.
But she gets to like the Red Feather just is impressed with her. Like she's about to get killed, and instead of begging like all of her other, like I think there's one of her sisters.
Fucking everybody like she's like the fifth one in a row to get about to get throat slit, and all the rest of them are crying and screaming. She raises her throat up,
raises her throat and welcomes her like, "Do it, bitch."
I used to have a friend that had a full back tattoo that looked like Sailor Jerry type tattoo, knife banner. The banner said, "Get your cutthroat off my knife." She was badass. It was a great tattoo.
And like Red was just like, damn, okay. And it's not like a love story. There's a little like tension between them. Like you can sort of see it maybe, but I like that there's just kind of like okay, this white chick's kind of crazy, but also like a fucking game recognized game.
Right.
Fucking fuck the world. I see you. Okay. Like we're on the same wavelength. I can deal with her.
Mm-hmm.
Man, she picks up the native language pretty, like she's not
pretty quick.
Fluent language, but she is, you without her really stating it, she finds the natives and the people, finds like their community and family, and is like, this makes way more sense to me than Mormonism.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, like she basically clicks there.
Like, no, I get this. Like, this is stand on your own 2 feet. You'll go as far as your spirit will take you.
Mm-hmm.
And I got spirit for days, and that it appeals to her. And yeah, like she's a little sad that her husband's, she thinks her husband's dead, but
yeah,
she when she realizes he's alive, she goes after the natives, not him.
Right.
Like that told me everything of like, that tracks. And which made her ending like disappointing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, with the Mormonism, I like.
But almost everybody's endings were disappointing.
I when I get it that it's supposed to be a bummer. I get that, but man, I do love that the Mormons are. So I think Mormons are dumb and funny, like to be made fun of and ridiculed because their religion's dumb. And I'm pretty confident in saying that, even though I would never say that about a lot of other religions, even though I kind of also think they're dumb. But don't quote me on anything specific. Whatever religion you are, you're cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not
obviously not you guys, religion. Not you, listener. But Mormonisms are especially dumb. Like, it's such a dumb history of like
recent new Christianity is.
It is, and what I realized watching it here.
Recent.
How recent?
Really recent.
How recent?
Brigham Young is in this show,
and everyone here is like
played by Tig from Sons of Anarchy.
I like that everybody here makes fun of them, and are like, "Dude, you and your made-up religion." It's the Scientology of their day.
It is. They treat them like Scientologists.
They think they're like and backwards and weird. And I'm sorry if you're in 1850s. And everybody is making fun of you for the multiple wives. Like, oh man, do you just take them by the dozen or whatever? Hey, maybe you just sell me one, whatever. Like, they're making fun of them because they like, oh man, don't get me wrong. It seems like you are treating those women like objects, and they don't seem to have a sense of autonomy. If that is said to you in 1850, right. You are fucking up.
And it is pretty rich that like every one of these guys is a bad boyfriend. Like, they treat women as objects one at a time, but they don't get 6-packs of them.
But they're at least like, dude, we keep up the pretense
right
of it.
Right.
Like, stating out loud is kind of fucked.
So the action scenes are pretty great. Betty Gilpin's pretty great. Abish is a surprisingly amazing actress.
And we need to talk about the main story of Betty Gilpin trying to help her.
Right.
Son.
So Gilpin, that is a great backstory also.
Yes.
Gilpin is basically running because she murdered her husband.
Or previous
dude, guy, whatever. But his family's got some money, and they've put a $1,500 bounty on her head. And I love her explanation for, I killed him. He had laid hands on me every night of our marriage, and I lived in fear all the time. And then he laid hands on my son once, and I killed him.
I can't remember if he was married to her, because she has a husband out in Crooks Creek that they don't seem to like give a shit.
Yeah, so like, maybe it was just
a person he was staying with, like a family member or something.
But I love no, I lived in fear. He put his hands on me every day. He touched my son once, I killed him. I'm like, fuck yeah, you did.
And then so she's her not crippled because he doesn't seem to like he can walk without the brace,
but
also
his legs, he's got a leg shorter than the other. Or
his
something,
leg's a little
man.
fucked. Like there's something wrong with it.
Yeah,
and
something way wrong with it at the end. But
and so it's about Taylor Kitsch. Like she needs help. The guide she was gonna run with left without her because like, dude, it's way unsafe to travel during winter, and you're 2 weeks late. And so she needs a crazy motherfucker to take her anyway because she can't wait. Like, no, I hear what you guys are saying. There's no safe way to do this. I'm telling you, I got to do it anyway. And they pick up a mute native along the way.
Right.
I think she's part of the Shoshone or another tribe?
Another tribe.
I think she's another tribe.
Yeah,
okay.
She's another tribe. And kills her because they're a lot worse. And her tongue's cut out.
Oh, is her cut out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess I forgot about that.
Kitsch says it at one point of like,
damn.
Because they're like, well, can she hear? Like, she's not deaf. Her tongue's cut out. And like,
damn.
Shit.
That'll teach you for speaking up.
Yeah, no, when we first meet her, we don't see her raped, but we know she's been raped earlier, and the guy comes back in again, and even the old one, like, hey, give her a break, and she just stabs him before it can happen.
Yeah.
And then escapes. Which is great, but it brings me to the main issue I have with this show, which is not this show's issue. This show is just another in a long line of shows that do this. But almost all except for, well, Avish gets threatened with it, but almost all of the strong, amazing women in this show seem to get their agency raped into them.
Yeah, and I get that is a concept of the time of what the period they're in. But also, like, I'm just sick of seeing it. I didn't realize how sick I was until it happened. And
like, this didn't bother Lisa. Like, I mean, it did bother Lisa in the sense that, like, we can all agree that all the rapes that need to be shown on film have been shot.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good in history forever.
And I thought I was ambivalent. Like, okay, I thought I was ambivalent, but I think I'm like, man, I care more about that than I thought I did.
But I could tell that it definitely hit Lisa in the, like in the blink twice sense of like, no, Gilpin steps out of there and shoots every motherfucker in that camp. Fuck all of you.
Yeah, which is a great scene.
And then leaves the old woman to die in the woods.
Well, and man, of course, when you get Betty Gilpin, she's gonna become a badass at some point. Like, she does a great job playing can't even look Taylor Kitsch because he takes off his clothes in front of her in the eye. Like, so, oh my goodness, couldn't even to fucking rough and tumble.
Right.
6-shooter badass.
It takes a few episodes. It's episode 4 when she finally gets badass. But
the assault that gets there, like, I mean, I like that it results in because she was trying to help out a little girl, a child, and like, no, man, I forgot that my priority was my son, and I won't forget again. Like, just the lesson she learned from that was like dark and
she's fantastic and carries you through the whole show. We watched the first couple of episodes, and then I had to crash. Lisa and I did, and then I'd forgotten about it for a day or so, and then you brought it back up and asked how many we'd watched, and then as we started talking about it, I was like, well, shit, now I want to watch more of it. It is good. And we burned through the rest of it. It is good. It is really good. I am not a huge Western fan, and I don't think this is quite my favorite West. It reminds me of Deadwood, but it makes me remember that I liked Deadwood more than this. It reminds me of 1883, but I liked 1883 more than this.
I think what really... Well, what bugs me is that, like, Taylor Kitsch is doing fine, but all the relationship stuff sold between them is carried by Betty Gilpin.
Also, I find his costuming silly looking. He just looks silly.
He does look silly
in the woods. He looks like you lost a kid with a puka necklace off of like somebody wandered too far from Coachella and ended up in Utah.
If the 1850s had hipsters, this is how they.
Or whichever one's in California.
But all the stuff that I think I like, man, all the thing I think I like about Taylor Kitsch's character is how Betty Gilpin responds to him, and like, you know, checking for your heart, like, oh, it's beating. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone if you will.
Yeah.
And like,
this is the actress that gave us Hunt. Yeah,
she's selling this relationship by herself.
Yeah,
like, and it's like hard to see that, and hard to not see that.
Yeah,
the Jai Courtney's in it, and as a villain that
under a huge beard.
Just
huge. It's maybe one of my favorite Jack Courtney roles. There are not many that I like.
He's fun.
He's really fun in this.
But he's the antagonist.
Oh yeah, he's a piece of shit. But
the way the show ends,
Dane DeHaan is crazy as balls.
So they have a nuanced portrayal of the military guy of like, hey yo, the Shoshone, like the natives deserve better, and he's like, I agree.
Yep.
But
wish I was in charge of that.
Wish I was in charge. Like, yeah. And so like he's a cool dude. And
yeah, no, the military seems a force for bad, but they're sorry about it. The Mormons are outright villains.
Yeah.
The Shoshone are amazing. They come off great.
Well, and
the settlers are just like grist in the fucking mill, man.
There's a cool truce that almost happens. Like, oh shit, are they going to team up to fight
the
Mormons?
No, didn't work out
because there's not quite enough troops to take them out right now.
Right, but yeah.
And then like the Mormons like realize that they're fucked, and they wipe the military contingent out.
Mm-hmm.
In a pretty, like, it's not unexciting, but kind of anticlimactic of like, okay, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. But the native scene, they know they're coming. So that's going to be a fucking, nope, same thing.
Nope.
I was like, okay, you can't do the same thing and set them up different. Like, because the setup for the natives thing is like, she rides up and is like, yo, they're coming, fucking like they talk about either running or standing their ground. They decide to like stand with him. The natives are like, no, like no, I'll give myself up to them. They only care about me.
And the natives even like, do a pretty good ambush. Like they bail out of their camp and like let them ride in, and isn't that where they rush back in? But it just doesn't matter.
I guess it like doesn't matter. There's too many of them,
and you start to immediately see the fucking problem with guns versus arrows.
Well, it kind of is the same. Like I don't know if I wanted the same oneer as in the first ambush,
but he could have ended out like that. You're right.
But like, dude, the first ambush, they took out a lot of people with a lesser force because of the element of surprise. And in the Mormons also took out the military force and encamped force because of the element of the surprise.
Yeah.
And then the natives have the element of surprise and it doesn't do shit for them.
No.
And it's like, okay, this feels like plot-wise this had to happen because of like history or whatever, but also it's not very narratively satisfying. The Mormons, I get that you can't kill Brigham Young.
Right.
But the Mormons don't have to win.
Right. Well, and honestly,
the Mormons win.
Honestly, fuck history. This is the face of Jewish vengeance. Just kill Hitler at the end of your movie.
Hell yeah.
It's fine.
I'm
not saying Brigham Young's Hitler.
I don't give a shit. Like, or have him lose. Have a witness get out and prove that nope, they did that shit.
Right.
Because as far as the show is now, they killed all the witnesses. The only witness now.
Oh yeah, no, it wraps back up to like none of this mattered.
And Betty Gilpin can't. Like, she's a fugitive. She won't be able to.
No, they're gonna ride to California and hope that nobody finds them.
So and I get that the Mormon guy that started this, he dies, and that's cool. But he's not the villain. Mormons are.
Yeah.
Like you see what I'm saying? Like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the Mormons just. They don't.
They basically.
They don't take a significant L. They don't.
For being the clear villains in the whole show.
They get the fort. They kill all the witnesses. Yeah. They burn it. They get everything they want. And I would just either have them lose that battle at least and have the Shoshone live and that be the win for them as they couldn't wipe them out.
It honestly...
Or the military come in the day after they sell the fort, like Brigham sells the fort, and then Shea Wiggum basically like... They come up to Shea Wiggum like, okay, so we've overtaken this fort, but we need someone to manage this for us.
Okay.
Like get him...
Right back in the same job, but for different...
I'm fine with Wiggum as the white guy double winning of like, I got paid and still run this bitch.
Right. Like, that would be great. Yeah, but no, they don't do any of that. It really gave me a Rogue One vibe of like, oh, so we're just back to none of this movie mattered and the Empire still moves forward, but at least we don't even have that because like what piece of information made it out that helps the future?
Well, also, and definitely hear me on this, I could just not be in the mood for the bad guys winning and basically successfully telling a false narrative and distorting reality in a way that supports them and they're never called on.
Yep. And in 2024, I learned about it this year.
Yeah, and maybe I'm not in the mood for that.
Yeah. No, it's a well shot, good show. It's also frustrating, and I don't think I'll ever rewatch it. But, my mom asked if like is it good? I'm like, I mean, yeah, but also I don't know that you're gonna like it. It's not that fun.
In history we know the a long arc of history, we know the Mormons are responsible.
So
a witness could get out.
It's on Wikipedia. So
I'm just saying that Rogue One doesn't die with them.
No. Yeah,
Rogue
you're
One,
right.
they don't
You're
all
right.
die and not get the plans out.
Yeah,
They
you're
get
right.
the plans out. They win.
Yeah.
Like,
So somebody got out. We learned about this somehow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's probably going to wrap it up for us this week. Tune in next week. We're going to discuss John Paul's Patreon pick.
What?
The Way Home, which I understand is a time travel story.
Oh, man.
So we'll see what's up.
Talk about a long way home.
Haha. But until then.
TV News out.
Everything I've done, it's been for him.
Whatever you've done to protect you both, ain't no sin in that.